Okay, so we're on day 8 of our 30-day challenge. We've got our Hatha class today, still focusing on those hips. If you haven't done a Hatha class before, the movements aren't in a flow sequence like our vinyasa. We're not moving with our breath. So our Hatha, you'll be holding the poses for a little bit longer, really thinking about everything that's working in your body. We've done a few hip classes now, so you should be a little bit more familiar with how your hips are, how your body works. So really try to utilize all of that knowledge and make sure that when you're in these poses, maybe you're adjusting a little bit because you're going to be here for a bit longer, so you've got time to really think about it and create those muscle memories. Okay, starting down on our backs, all the way down. Closing down the eyes, hands away from the body, palms facing up. Really allowing yourself to feel heavy here. Just starting to settle in, preparing yourself for your practice, removing yourself and your thoughts from anything you've been doing prior. And feeling like the space that you're in right now on this yoga mat is literally a million miles away from anything else. You've got no other distractions around you. This time is dedicated just for you, for nothing else. And do not belittle that importance of having time just for you. It doesn't mean that you're selfish. It doesn't mean that you're not being productive. This time will make you more productive. Really feeling that belly rising and falling. With every inhale, every exhale. When you're ready, we're going to bend up the knees so the feet are planted on the ground. Maybe you keep the eyes shut. We're going to take our reclined pigeon, so right leg first, crossing over the left thigh. Right foot is flexed, ankle is to the outside of that thigh, just above the knee. And you're drawing this right knee away from your face. Hands are beside you, palms are facing flat, so that you're feeling this activation in your shoulders already by slightly pushing the palms into the ground. And then on your exhale, you're going to take the right sole of the foot all the way down to the left side, really making sure that that right foot is staying where it is. It doesn't start to slip down the leg. So you've still got this activation in that right leg, still driving that knee away from the face. Both shoulders are on the ground and still feel that slight push with your palms into the ground. So changing this from a passive to an active stretch. Opening up through that chest. Really planting that right foot down to the ground. Feeling the outside of that hip starting to stretch out. Really start to hold on to that. Really start to hold on to that equal inhale and exhale, and continue that throughout the practice. Always giving you something to come back to. Inhale, slowly come all the way back up to center, and switching over to the other side, left foot over, flexing the left foot, ankle to the outside of that right thigh. Still pushing the hands in, and then take the left foot down to the right side, making sure that activation is still nice between that ankle and the right thigh, and the left knee is drawing away from the face still. Keep remembering to gently push those palms into the ground. Maybe one side is a bit tighter than the other, and absolutely feel free to stay here for a little bit longer. Next, inhale all the way back up through center. Uncrossing those legs, coming into a half happy baby, taking that left leg long, hugging the right knee into your chest to start with, keeping those shoulders on the ground. And then taking the right hand, grabbing the outside of that right foot, or maybe the calf or the hamstring, flexing that foot, driving the heel up to the sky. Trying to keep drawing this right shoulder into the ground. So if it's really high off, just grab slightly lower down on your leg so that you can keep that shoulder into the ground. Pulling that right knee in towards your armpit, so just to the outside of that chest. And trying to keep this left leg still working, still grounding, nice and straight. Every exhale, maybe you can just pull a little bit more on that foot or wherever you have the grip to slightly open up a bit more. Final inhale here. Exhale, release all the way down, switching over to the other side, right leg long, left knee hugged into the chest. And then when you're ready, holding onto the outside of that left foot or calf or hamstring, and drawing that knee in towards the armpit, to the outside of the chest. Trying to pull that shoulder as close to the ground as possible, and straightening through that right leg. Final inhale. Exhale, completely release. Hug both knees into your chest this time. And we're going to be coming up to our all fours, so either you rock and roll up, or you swing to one side and then come all the way up like that. So however you get there, I'll meet you in your all fours. Okay, from your all fours, we're going to come thread the needle, so pick up your left arm, reach all the way to the sky, and then exhale, taking that arm through the space from your right hand and right thigh, left ear coming to the ground. Now already here, think about these hips being square, so just put your right hand onto the tailbone and just make sure you're not dipping this left hip down, and then nice and square and level. Reaching that left arm through, maybe the right hand is extended in front of you. Taking that breath all the way down to the belly. Right hand by your face, big inhale all the way back up to your all fours. Other side, inhale right hand high, exhale straight through, right ear to the ground. Making sure those hips are square again, just place your hand on that tailbone. And then when you're happy with that, maybe you extend the arm in front of you. Next, inhale, left hand back by the face, come all the way up through your all fours. Picking up the right leg, bringing it through into your low lunge. Hands either side of that leg. Maybe you're on blocks to keep that chest open. And then absolutely take that left knee further back if you want a deeper stretch through that hip flexor. Breathing here. Really starting to bring your mind back just to your breath. Feeling that hip flexor getting longer, more mobile. And remember that we're going to be in these poses for a little bit longer, so you'll probably get to the point where you think, oh my gosh, Hannah, let's switch over. But as soon as you get to that point, that is the point where the pose starts. So you really need to use that concentration of your breath to clear your mind, to push through and hold that pose a little bit longer. It's really, really great training. Slowly exhale all the way back. Just coming through, closed knees, child's pose, just for a second, just to get everything to come back into the center. And then inhale, come forward through your all fours, left leg forward into this low lunge. Settling in here. Really focusing on that breath. Maybe you even close down the eyes. Whatever you need to do to just almost float above yourself whilst you're here. Not really paying any attention to the time or the pose. You're just here, just doing something, but not really paying any attention. Feeling that hip flexor elongating with every second that we're here. stretching out all of those hours of sitting down at our desks. Final exhale, and then take that left leg all the way back to your child's pose again. And then inhale through your all fours. We're coming into our Malasana Yogi squat. So we're going to bring both legs forward. Bring your right leg forward first at this 45-degree angle. And then bring your left leg so they're just over hips width distance apart. Both 45-degree angle. Now absolutely, if you are super uncomfortable here, you roll up the mat and then you can place your heels on them. That's going to help a lot. Or you do that and then put a block underneath your bum just to keep you lifted. And then you're going to be starting to work towards all of this hip opening that we require. We also require a lot of mobility in our ankles as well. So that's why if you need to roll up the yoga mat, that you probably need to work on your ankle mobility. So hands to heart center, drawing the elbows into the insides of those knees, pushing them out. And trying to think about the length from the head all the way down to the tailbone, really growing longer, sinking that tailbone further and further down. Keep driving those elbows into the thighs. And keep thinking about the crown of the head growing taller. Absolutely, if you need to, have a bit of a shake about and come back into it. Final inhale. And exhale. Place the hands down and then start to walk the feet so they're now facing forward, still just over hips width apart, coming into a really deep ragdoll, so knees bent a lot so the whole of that belly and chest can rest onto the thighs, head is hanging. Maybe you take hold of the opposite elbows with the hands, maybe you sway from side to side. Just starting to wake up those hamstrings and a really nice stretch through that lower back. Coming back to stillness, hands all the way down, and then inhale, roll all the way up through standing. Every single vertebrae moving, and head being the last thing to come up. Okay, coming into your mountain pose, so feet now hips width apart, so feel the distance from those pointy bits of your hips. Feet are straight down, toes are straight out. Hands away from the body, palms facing away. Coming into our warrior one. So we're going to keep our feet at this hips width distance, maybe even a little bit more. Taking the right foot back to start with. At a comfortable distance for you that gives you enough space to bend through this front knee. Back foot is at 45-degree angle. We're thinking about both hips in the joints, externally rotating, so they're rotating away from our bodies. Back leg is doing so much work rotating externally and grounding through the outside edge, whilst also that big toe is down. We want both of these pointy bits of the hips facing forward. And then we make sure that our knee isn't dropping in. It's really going straight through that central line of the foot, maybe even a little bit to that little toe side. Hands all the way up. But remember, do not flare those ribs. Keep them in and down. Really settle in here. Keep working every single muscle. Remind yourself to fire it back up as if you feel it going soft. Maybe you do a little check-in, make sure the hips are still square. Maybe you bend through that front leg a little bit more. Both legs are doing so much work. So if you feel like one is doing more than the other, just check in with the other leg and just check that it is firing. Remember, the pose doesn't start until you think, oh my gosh, get me out of this. I think it's just happened for me. One more round of breath, big inhale. Exhale, bring that right foot all the way forward, back to your mountain. Maybe you have a bit of a wobble around with those legs. Okay, getting ready for warrior one on the other side. Feet at hips width distance apart. Step this left foot straight back. 45-degree angle to the front. Maybe the feet are slightly further apart. Thinking about the hip bones. Are they facing forward? Are my hips level, or is one hip higher than the other? Both externally rotating. So literally feel those joints moving in the sockets. Front knee is towards the outside of the foot. And that back leg is doing so much work that all four corners of the feet are grounding. Hands all the way up. Think about those ribs. Really utilize your breath to take you away from this pose as soon as you feel like, okay, I've done all my check-ins with my body and I can just stay. Now the core doesn't need to be engaged here, so that gives you space to keep those breaths really nice and deep. Belly coming forward on the inhale and coming back on the exhale. Final inhale. Exhale, come all the way forward, really nice. Shake those legs out. Okay, back to your mountain. We're coming into triangle now. So we're going to step our right leg straight back. But like we would set up in warrior two, our heels are both in line. We've still got this 45-degree angle with this back foot, so the right foot. But we want to think about both hips almost like in our warrior one, both facing forward. And this time the back leg is internally rotating, so rather than this femur rotating away from the body, we're thinking about it rotating inwards. And that almost sticks our bum out at the same time, and that's what the kind of energy that we want. So we want the reach forward, but also this reach back as well. So you've got your feet set up, hands all the way out. Reach forward with this left hand as much as you can, because you want to create a lot of space. Sticking this bum out at the same time, and as soon as you can't reach anymore, then you come all the way down, left hand down, right hand up. Now, absolutely, you can put this left hand onto the shin or put it onto a block, wherever you need to go. It's a triangle, so it's all about angles rather than curves. So really use the underside oblique to keep nice and lifted, and keep thinking about this underside lengthening. That's really going to help you. Keep sticking this hip out, keep rotating inwards, and keep reaching the right hand high, drawing the shoulder blades together. Make sure both legs are doing a lot of work. You can feel the knees pulling up. Think about the feet pulling in towards one another. That's also going to give you another element of lifting rather than just feeling really heavy here. It's almost about tricking our bodies. If it's comfortable, turn the head up. If it starts to ache your neck, you can look down or just look out to the side. Keep thinking about that underside of the body lengthening. Keep drawing those knees up to activate those quads. Final inhale. Exhale, slowly come all the way back to the front. Into your mountain again. Any extra moves you need before we come back in to the other side. From your mountain, step the left foot straight back, heels in line. Still that 45-degree angle with that left foot this time. Both legs are straight. Hands out to the side, right hand in front this time. And again, feel that distance between the back hip and the right hand, trying to grow further away from one another. So you're sticking out this hip as you're turning that left femur inwards. And you're reaching your right hand as far as you can, activating those quads already before you take the hands down. Again, a block is there for you, or you can rest onto that shin wherever you want to go. Don't have your stance, this could be a good tip, don't have your stance as wide as you would for warrior two. Really think about that underside, really think about that chest trying to rotate upwards so you can pull the shoulder blades together. If you're somebody that tends to lock out your joints, maybe you have a micro bend in that front knee. Final inhale, exhale all the way up to the front, really nice. Having another little wiggle. Coming into our pyramid now, so feet just hips width apart, taking the right foot straight back, hips width distance apart this time, still in that 45-degree angle. Probably about the same or a little bit shorter stance than our triangle. This time both hip bones are facing forward. And we're really thinking about folding at the hip joint. Maybe do a couple of testers. So just put your hands where the joint is, where that crease is, and maybe just fold a couple of times. And just notice, okay, say on your left side, is that distance growing shorter? So it's kind of like pinching off those fingers. And that's when you know you've got that correct movement. So if comfortable, You're going to have your hands together in prayer, but make sure that you're not flaring those ribs. Everything is contained. Or you can hold on to the opposite elbows, or just hands on your hips, wherever you want them to go. Okay, so setting those legs up, spreading those toes, pulling those quads up, hands wherever you want them. Big inhale, activate the quads, reach the crown high, and then on the exhale, leading with the chest, folding from the hips, coming all the way down to your pyramid. Again, if you think about pulling those feet towards one another, that is going to help you feel this lift. If you're somebody that bends, if you're somebody that hyper extends their kneecap, then absolutely bend in that knee. Think about these hips. Maybe just double check, are they square? I always need to pull my right hip back more to make my hips square. Maybe your hands are on blocks. That's going to also give you a nice helping hand. If it feels like your hamstring's just stretching out a bit too much. Final inhale here. Bend through that front leg, standing all the way up. Really nice. On to the other side. Taking that left leg back. Hips are square. Big inhale, reach the crown high, setting those arms up wherever you want them to be. And then exhale, folding forward, making sure you're folding at the hips, chest, reaching forward, really activating those quads, making sure your hips are level. You can even place a thumb in this right hip crease and literally pull it back. And that is going to give you a really clear indication of whether they're square or not. Maybe you have a bit of a wiggle around. Pulling that right hip forward, okay, definitely not square. Pulling that right hip back, hand on top. Okay, yeah, they feel about level now. And this will be one that you just have to keep adjusting yourself with until your body starts to notice, okay, yeah, this feels right. Really keeping the shoulder blades drawing together wherever your hands are, even if they're on blocks. Final inhale, bend through that front leg. Bring that left leg forward, really nice. Back into your mountain, hands facing forward. Big inhale, hands up, gaze up. Exhale, bend the knees a lot, folding all the way down. Stepping both legs back and making your way down to the ground nice and slowly. Elbows straight back, biceps hugging into the chest, all the way down. Resting one cheek onto the ground, hands out to the sides. Allow those ankles to fall out to the sides, toes turning inwards. Just really settle down here. If you need to take any extra movement you need, absolutely do so. And if not, we're going to come into our Shavasana. Whether you stay on your belly or you turn over to your back. And it might feel really nice just to bring one of these knees up out to the side. So we have done a lot with our hips today, really focusing and starting to get to know our bodies and how it feels when our hips are aligned, when they're moving correctly. So really try to bring all of that information into your yoga practice, into your daily life. Starting to come out of our Shavasana, wiggling the toes, wiggling the fingers. And then as slowly as you can, start to make your way all the way up into your seated position. Maybe your eyes are still closed. Hands onto the thighs, palms facing up. So maybe that session felt a little bit different for you, especially if you're somebody that does tend to stick to vinyasa or a flow class. It really does open you up to your body's feelings and how your muscles are working. So it's quite an exposing class, I would say, because you can't distract yourself by just moving straight off into the next posture. You really have to work at strengthening every single area of your body that's responsible for whatever pose you're in. So well done for sticking with it. Hands to heart center, bow the chin to the chest, thumbs to the third eye. Well done. Day 8, I hope you have enjoyed it so far. And we have got so much more to learn together and to explore together on this journey, so well done. Hands away from the eyes, coming to the end of the class, blinking the eyes open whenever you are ready.